Wild boar, the unexpected ruler of our forests. In the shadows of the forest lives an animal that often makes its presence known long before anyone actually sees it. Deep tracks remain in the soft soil, field edges are torn up by rooting, and dried streaks of mud cling to tree trunks. The wild boar is not a creature that attracts attention through elegance or noble appearance, yet it remains one of the most remarkable large mammals of the European wilderness. It is not merely a symbol of crop damage or a heavy forest dweller. The wild boar is an exceptionally adaptable species capable of changing its habits according to habitat, season, and human presence. At the same time, it is a native inhabitant of much of Europe and Asia, originally occurring even in North Africa, and it is also the wild ancestor of the domestic pig. Its body is built for strength, endurance, and movement through dense cover. The animal carries a compact muscular frame, a thick neck, a powerful head, and a snout used not only for breathing but primarily for rooting and searching for food beneath the soil. The coat is coarse and bristled, becoming thicker during the colder months. Along the spine runs a mane of longer bristles that can rise when the animal is agitated, making it appear even more imposing. Adult boars are generally larger and heavier than sows, and their most distinctive feature is the pair of tusks that continue growing throughout life. Piglets look entirely different. They are born with pale longitudinal stripes that help them blend into undergrowth during their first weeks of life, breaking up the outline of the body in shifting light and shadow. The wild boar perceives the world less through sight and far more through scent and hearing. Its nose is its greatest tool, guiding it toward food, warning of danger, and revealing where another animal has passed. Its hearing is exceptionally sharp, allowing it to pick up the faintest sounds in thick cover and the warning calls of other members of the sounder. Eyesight plays a lesser role, though the placement of the eyes gives excellent peripheral awareness of movement. What may appear to a human as simple digging is, in reality, the precise work of an animal reading the landscape through scent, soil moisture, and hidden signs invisible to most other creatures. Thanks to this equipment, the wild boar can thrive in highly varied habitats. Most people associate it with deciduous and mixed woodland, yet it is equally at home in brush country, wetlands, floodplain forests, agricultural land, and even the fringes of human settlement, provided it finds cover, water, and sufficient feed. Under European conditions, the ideal habitat is a mosaic of woodland, crop fields, thickets, and water resources, all within easy reach. This is one reason why the species succeeds not only in remote wilderness but also in landscapes heavily altered by man. In Central Europe especially, the alternating mixture of covers, feeding grounds, and quiet refuge areas creates nearly perfect conditions. The boar can move effortlessly between bedding areas and feeding sites. Its daily rhythm is equally flexible. In undisturbed country, wild boar may remain active during daylight. In areas with heavy human activity or hunting pressure, however, they shift most movement into dusk, nighttime, and early morning hours. During warm weather, they remain hidden in shade and damp places through much of the day, while in colder seasons they may stay active longer in daylight. Few large mammals respond so effectively to hunting pressure, human disturbance, and changing food conditions. This ability to adapt behavior to circumstances is one of the greatest reasons for the species' success. The wild boar does not live by a fixed schedule. Instead, it lives according to the conditions the land presents each day. Despite its reputation as a rough and solitary animal, the wild boar is in fact highly social. The foundation of its society is the sounder, a family group composed of sows and young animals moving, feeding, and resting together. Adult boars usually remain solitary outside the breeding season, joining the sounders primarily during the rut. Piglets stay protected within the group, while experienced sows know safe travel routes and productive feeding grounds. Together, the group reacts to dangers far more effectively than a lone animal ever could. Communication plays a major role in this social structure. Wild boar use vocalizations, scent signals, and body posture. Certain calls maintain contact between group members while others signal alarm, aggression, or defense. Scent marking also carries important information about identity and condition of an individual. For sows and piglets, communication is critical from the very first hours of life. Young piglets are vulnerable, and quick orientation toward the mother and the sounder greatly increases their chance of survival. Here again we see that the wild boar is not merely an animal of brute force, but also a species built on strong social bonds and precisely timed signals. Its greatest ecological advantage is omnivorous feeding behavior. Plant material forms the majority of its diet mass. Seeds, roots, tubers, green vegetation, and in agricultural areas, cultivated crops. Yet it will also consume insects, worms, mollusks, eggs, carrion, and small vertebrates whenever available. The key lies in the breadth of its feeding strategy. The wild boar is not a specialist dependent on a single food source. It is an opportunist taking advantage of whatever food is most available in a given season and habitat. While feeding, wild boar leave behind unmistakable sign. The most characteristic are root patches where the animals turn over soil and leave litter in search of underground food and invertebrates. One may also find wallows, well-used game trails, bedding sites, and trees smeared with dried mud where the animals rub themselves after wallowing. Wallowing itself is not random behavior. It cools the body, reduces insect harassment, and helps remove external parasites. For this reason, the presence of wild boar is often detected through sign long before the animal itself is observed. The land quite literally carries the boar's signature. The life of the wild boar changes significantly throughout the year. In autumn, hard mast such as acorns and beech nuts becomes critically important, determining body condition and future reproductive success. During the colder months comes the main breeding season, when mature boars seek out sows and compete fiercely among themselves. In spring, piglets are born and the period of intensive maternal care begins. Summer brings a strong dependence on water, shade, wallows, and abundant feeding for rapidly growing young. This cycle may shift somewhat according to climate and local conditions, but seasonal change remains one of the keys to understanding the species. The reproductive potential of wild boar is one of the main reasons populations can increase so rapidly. Gestation lasts roughly 108 to 120 days, averaging about 115 days. A litter commonly contains 5 to 8 piglets, though the exact number depends on the sow's age, condition, and food availability. Before farrowing, the sow often prepares a nest of vegetation. During the first days of life, piglets rely entirely on her protection. Soon afterward, they begin imitating adults while feeding and gradually transition to solid food, eventually losing their stripped coat. Young females often remain near their natal sounder, while young boars disperse and become independent later in life. The wild boar is also highly cautious and intelligent. It can alter movement patterns, activity times, and habitat use according to the level of human pressure and perceived danger. It is not a reckless animal acting without reason. Nevertheless, in certain situations, it can react with great aggression, particularly when defending piglets or during intense competition between mature boars. The reputation of the wild boar as a dangerous animal did not arise by accident, though it is often exaggerated. A more accurate understanding is to view it as a powerful, intelligent, and wary species that usually seeks to avoid conflict but can defend itself rapidly and effectively when cornered. Within the ecosystem, the wild boar plays a significant and complex role. Through rooting, it turns over the upper soil layers, mixes organic material, and alters conditions for plant germination and small organisms. In some places, this activity may damage sensitive habitats or forest regeneration. Elsewhere, however, it creates small disturbed patches that actually support biodiversity. As an omnivore, it also affects populations on invertebrates, small vertebrates, and the dispersal of certain seeds. It is therefore neither entirely harmful nor entirely beneficial. It is a powerful ecological force whose impact depends largely on population density and habitat conditions. Its abundance and close relationship with humans have made the wild boar one of the defining animals of the modern European landscape. In agricultural regions, it may cause considerable damage, not only by feeding on crops, but also through rooting and trampling fields. At the same time, it can spread diseases dangerous to domestic swine populations. One of the most serious is African swine fever, a viral disease affecting both wild and domestic pigs. Although harmless to humans, it is often fatal to infected animals and causes severe economic losses. In recent years, this disease has become a major issue in European wildlife management, veterinary control, and hunting practice. As a result, the wild boar now stands at the center of attention for biologists, hunters, veterinarians, and farmers alike. In truth, the wild boar is far more complex than its reputation suggests. It is strong, social, intelligent, cautious, and extraordinarily adaptable. It can live deep within remote forests or along the very edge of the human world, changing its habits according to circumstances and leaving behind signs far more noticeable than many people realize. It is not merely a nocturnal raider of crop fields or a heavy animal with its snout buried in the soil. It is one of the most remarkable mammals of European wildlife, a species proving that true wilderness has not disappeared. It has simply learned to live much closer to man.